if this is a success, okay, if this is a success, what we do, if this data is there, if there is some positive response from this, what we do is we create all these things and we will redirect the user to dashboard. That means dashboard.html is there, we will redirect to dashboard. So else we will display as a invalid details or invalid credentials. So this is the basic idea for your login page. Okay, so that's all we are using in the front end. Even this is the part of front end because we are using a special type of function called ajax to do the API calls. There will be a API to login which you have done in PHP. So uh, we'll be doing through the backend only. We will not directly call any of the files here. And basically, whenever you have form will have one action and one method. So we are not using that one right now because if you specify action and method, you'll have to specify a different file, either it's PHP file or a Java file or a Python file. So with the help of JavaScript only, we are trying to to send the data over the server and receive the data as well. So now we are sending to verify.php. Now if I have to show you verify.php, it looks something like this. Okay, so see, so it's Ajax. Okay, if Ajax, if all these things are there and these things are there and XML HTTP request. So now if there is no Ajax, okay, what we do is we don't execute all this and we go out of the all this code and we display the restricted access, or else in verify.php whatever data you get it from the get it from index.html. So we were sending the key like email and password, right? So these values email and password will be assigned to these variables. Okay, and we will try to find out if that email is there or not. So select start from credentials where email equal to email and password are matching and type will be admin for. So in this case we have admin. Okay, so result will be so what we have to do is this variable will be holding this query. Okay, I'll explain about this. You got the basic idea, no, how we are doing the login process. Take the data from user in the form, call the function called verify. So verify will create new variables in JavaScript and we will call a special type of function called ajax. Okay, and we are sending the request. So we are sending the data using post method to this verify.php, and based on the response we get, either you display the message as a success or we display the message as invalid credentials. The first thing. So this is all about the HTML. So the next thing which we are using is CSS. So CSS is nothing but our cascading style set, right? So HTML defines the content for your web page. That means you need a form, you need an image, video, audio, whatever you need. HTML defines the content for that. So now uh, if you have defined the content using HTML, you have to style it. Okay, so how do you style it? You use CSS to style it. That means, for example, if this is also a part of CSS. Okay, height equal to somewhere, overflow is hidden. So if the content is going out of the flow, out of the viewport, then hide the content. We don't want to have a look at it. Okay, so this is what CSS is. Then the next thing is something called as a JavaScript we are using. So JavaScript is a client-side scripting language, we call it as. So you might have heard of programming languages, right? So what is the approach in programming languages? You have to define the program. Use every programming language will have its own compiler. So define the program, compile the program and execute it. So basically whenever you have to compile a program, the space needed will be more and the time required to compile a program will be a bit higher. Even if you write a plus b, if you want to add two numbers also, you have to compile first, and it will take 1 or 2 seconds to compile the code. So we don't want to do that. So they have introduced something called as a scripting language. So what do in scripting languages, we write the program or we define the program and we execute it, and there will be something called as an interpreter which will be interpreting the code. So in case of JavaScript, JavaScript interpreter will be there in every browser. So basically how the JavaScript code is running is the JavaScript code will be downloaded into the client machine. That is, client means here the browser. So browser will again interpret the JavaScript code and give you the response in the form of HTML code. And that HTML code will be rendered by the browser, and which will give you the end result. Okay. So the next thing which we are using is, so
Sir, I just have a doubt.
yeah.
Where exactly have you used JavaScript in this project?
So yeah, in this, if you we have few JavaScript files, okay, and even in this, even if you don't have a JavaScript file, this wherever you see script, this is part of JavaScript. Okay, so in exactly, if you encounter dollar, okay, even though this is the part of JavaScript, if you encounter if you encounter dollar in script part, okay, $.ajax, you can call it as a JavaScript, but exactly it's jQuery. Okay, I'll tell you what exactly jQuery is also. So sorry. We in some points we are using JavaScript also, but basically mostly we are using jQuery, but jQuery also is a part of JavaScript, so we you can say you have used JavaScript. Okay, so yeah, so this is uh, okay, JavaScript. So you can go through here, the references are there, you can have a clear idea. And yeah, JavaScript, and if basic idea is to create the variables, how to create the variables, and all those things are there. And after JavaScript, we are using something called as a jQuery. And if you see jQuery, we will have since it's a library, you should have a library file, because in C++ also, if you want to use any of the math function, you will have to include the library file, right? What we do is we include math.h or math.ch, so that whatever functions you will call, like if you want to find the square root, if you call sqrt function, so that function is already defined somewhere in that header file, right? So, or the library file. So those files, so that's what this jQuery.js is here. Okay, this is the library file for the jQuery. So wherever you see this the function called $.ajax. So this is already predefined somewhere in library of the jQuery file. So we just call the functions. Okay, and the next thing is jQuery. So jQuery is uh, it's a library of JavaScript. It was the first library based on JavaScript, but now they have introduced so many libraries till now. So in this exactly, we are using jQuery. Mostly we are using jQuery for this. And in jQuery also, there is a special kind of function called Ajax. Okay, we are using this to call the APIs or to send the data. See, in this case, we are sending the data, and also we are fetching the response in the form of the data here. Okay, so, and if you see, there is no logic to be applied. Logic in the sense, it's this JavaScript file is not checking whether that user is registered or not. All those things that will be done by PHP file itself, but we are calling the code which we are written in the PHP by using this special kind of function called Ajax. Okay, and the next thing we are using is something called as a bootstrap. Uh, Something called as a bootstrap, and particularly we are using bootstrap 4 right now. So what is bootstrap is? Bootstrap is a JavaScript library. Okay, JavaScript and CSS library, where it makes easier for you to to style this. That means you don't have to completely use CSS to style this. So if you see few classes like this, so form inline, the container, or if you say BG primary, so these classes, this BG is for the background, so these classes are already there in the bootstrap. So if you need